To the average person, they look like regular plants, bugs, or animals, but they're actually invasive species, and they can be harmful to Louisiana's ecosystem.
LSU just announced a program to study these species and hopefully find solutions to manage them. TWILA's Josh Meeks introduces us to the new director of the Invasive Species Research Center.
Inside this greenhouse south of LSU's main campus, Rodrigo Diaz is hunting invaders. No, not the space kind.
We determined that we have new buds right here.
This rainy day is perfect for the invasive species giant salvinia to thrive. It came to Louisiana from Brazil. You've probably seen it in your ponds. When it gets thick, it can cut off oxygen to a water supply, leading to fish kills. Here in the aptly named Weevil Palace, Diaz studies the salvinia's natural predator, the salvinia weevil.
But they are camera shy today, Josh.
As director of the newly founded Invasive Species Research Center, Diaz, his colleagues, and his students will look at how the biggest threats to Louisiana are coming in and spreading, as well as how to eradicate them. Many invasive species, like the apple snail, pose a danger to farmers.
You have seen the images, how they, for example, for a crawfish farmer, how they are clogging the traps, making, rather than collecting crawfish, you're collecting apple snails. So in the direct impact to these crawfish operations, blocking canals.
Diaz's focus is entomology, but as the director of the Invasive Species Research Center, he says having a diverse team of scientists will help tackle such a massive issue.
I don't have the expertise in everything, but I do have a team that can bring that expertise with the goal of developing, again, these comprehensive maps, right? That at least we cover the key aspects of management.
For this first year, Diaz hopes to test the capabilities of this new research center, finding out how they can work with businesses and organizations to develop methods to combat things like Chinese tallow trees, crepe myrtle bark scale, and many, many others.
So imagine a scientist be able to develop a monitoring tool for a new invasive species, a new technique, a new method, and then be able to work with the private industry and say, hey, can we develop this to the next level and commercialize some of these management tools? And this can be, from monitoring tools, dispersal mechanisms, or trapping systems. So that's what I like also, the idea of eventually having this truly a multidisciplinary as well as multiple stakeholders on invasive species coming to a table and say, hey, if I have this new product that a scientist developing LSU, how I can link it to the industry, how we can commercialize that for the benefit, again, of having that tool available to a wider, the public, basically, in Louisiana.
For farmers, that means being able to work unimpeded. Diaz hopes these studies can lead to getting those tools out to benefit agriculture.
And the idea is, as we develop different control techniques, as you hear, from pheromone traps to insecticides, and then how we evaluate those methods of control, how we deliver this to the farmers. The AgCenter and the Department of Entomology and Plant Pathology, they have been working on direct practical applications of these new techniques to the farmers.
The AgCenter can supply crews of salvinia weevil by request if you have an infestation, but you're encouraged to make that call earlier in the season when it could be more easily managed. We've got a link to information about the weevils as well as other invasive species on our website, twilatv.org.
Okay, Mr. Meeks, so what makes Louisiana such a hotbed for invasive species?
Well, we all know Louisiana is very unique, right? It happens to be the I-10 corridor. We have the Mississippi River. We have a multitude of climates that just make it perfect. Of all the invasive species in the United States, 40% call Louisiana home.
Wow, that's a good factoid. Thank you very much, Josh Meeks.